Welcome to the Open to Hope Show. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Horsley, with my daughter and co-host,
Dr. Heidi Horsley.
Well, Heidi, we've got a great show today because we're going to be talking about grief and rebirth.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah.
And we have two guests we're going to talk to about this.
Mm-hmm. And you want to introduce them because one is a psychic teacher and the other one has had some experiences that are pretty amazing and is a great podcaster. So why don't you introduce them?
Okay, so here we've got today, right next to me, Irene Weinberg. Hello, Irene.
Hi, Heidi. So great to see you.
So good to see you. So we met Irene at Helping Parents Heal, that conference, where she interviewed us for her podcast.
Right, with Elizabeth Boyson, who's head of Helping Parents Heal. Great program.
She has a podcast called Grief and Rebirth, Finding Joy in Life, which is currently in 20 countries. And Irene is the author of the 5-star rated book called They Serve Bagels in Heaven. I love that.
And I tell people you can find out all about if they come with lox and cream cheese on page 8.
I love it, Irene. I love it. I love my bagels, too. So in this book are amazing messages that Irene received before, during, and after the tragic car accident in which her husband Saul died, and he was sitting next to her at the time. So welcome to the show, Irene.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Heidi. Thank you, Gloria.
So good to see you and
you
have you
too.
on.
Nice to see you again, too.
And next, Irene, is Stacey Cripps, who we also met her at the Helping Parents Heal conference, and Irene and Stacey are friends. And Stacey is a well-known and highly respected evidential spiritual medium, mentor, and advisor. She believes we are all endowed with spiritual gifts. And she has a daily meditation called Guided Meditations to Awaken to Spirits. So welcome, Stacey.
Thank you for having me.
Great having you.
Nice to see you, Heidi and Gloria.
Yeah, it's great having you on. And Heidi and I wanted to have you two on together because I know you had some amazing spiritual experiences connected with your husband's death, and we thought it would be kind of amazing to bring this all around for us.
To bring us into a full circle.
Yes.
And I know that Stacey often talks about how everything is connected, and I'm sort of the role model or the litmus test for that, because that's what happened to me, unbeknownst to me. It's been quite a while now, but I was married to my husband for 18 years. It was my second husband, and we were very happily married, living the life and all of that. We were skiers, and we did not believe in spirituality. I had a sister-in-law who was very spiritual, and we thought she was woo. There was like no way. And one day I was washing dishes at my kitchen sink, which I would think is sort of meditative.
Yeah.
And suddenly a very strong message came into my mind, and it said, Saul has to go. Many lessons will be learned from his death.
Wow, that gives me chills.
And I was like, what am I thinking?
Yeah.
And this is crazy. And he was watching a football game on TV in our family room, and I filled a glass with water and I brought it to him, kissed the top of his head, and put it out of my mind. But as you know, you never forget something like that.
Right.
I didn't say anything to anyone. It was like a weird thought. And 2 months later, we were coming home from a ski weekend on the New York State Thruway. And we'd been on the road for about an hour and a half. We were going 72 miles an hour. We were in the left lane. And I suddenly felt the car go into a huge swerve. And I looked over at my husband and Saul was sound asleep at the wheel. And I called out to him, and he woke up, and he saw what was happening, and he went to pull the car out of the swerve. And as he did, we started to rise up into the air for the first of 4 huge flips. And as we rose up the first time, I got another message, and it said to me, he's not going to make it, you are.
Wow.
And now I'm in the middle of flipping.
Oh, wow.
I flipped once, I flipped twice, and when I flipped up the second time, there was like, I was conscious through everything, but it felt like I left for a little bit of a while. And I'll talk to you about what that was about in this whole story. But I did not know what happened, but it felt like I kind of left and I returned, and I was continuing the flips.
Wow.
And then we landed upside down in a ravine on the side of the thruway. And I looked over at Saul, and I had been told he was going to go. And I said, honey, are you okay? and I saw that I was next to the shell of my husband, and his entire beautiful persona was gone.
Wow. I have chills.
And I said to myself, oh my God, there's something up. I was told he was going to go. There's something happening here. And I'm just about starting to process this when I see, I'm upside down in my seatbelt, and I see a helicopter land. We held up traffic on the thruway for 2.5 hours. It was such a bad accident. And I had 4 major surgeries from the accident. And the helicopter lands, and these 3 EMTs jump out of the helicopter, and they start rocking my car to get it right side up. And as it bounced up, one of them put his hands through my shattered window and started to turn me around and pull me through the window of my car. And as that happened, an unemotional male voice, like a directive, boomed into my head and said, "Be loving and kind to everyone," as they laid me on the side of the road.
Wow.
Well, I don't know about you, but that would tend to change your cells as they're multiplying. I mean, like, instead of screaming for myself, and I've lost the love of my life and all, I'm saying, I've been told to be loving and kind to everyone. So now I'm saying, what's your name? Thank you for coming out before Christmas. Thank you for helping me.
Wow.
They're loading me into the elevator. They helicopter me to the emergency trauma center. And I feel like, and I never believed in this, and I feel like Saul is with me. And the doctor comes over to me and he says, "I need to tell you that we have a lot." I needed 19 stitches in an artery in the bottom of my foot, and that was just the first operation.
Wow.
So he said, "We have quite a patchwork quilt to work on your foot and all." And he walked over, he went to me and he said, "And I need to also tell you that your husband is gone." And I said, "I know, and I am the luckiest woman in the world that I got to have this man in my life." I didn't carry on. I came from gratitude with everything. I said, "I am so grateful."
Were you in pain?
I was not really aware yet, Gloria, that I was in pain. I was in shock, I think, because they told me that they had quite a lot of work to do on my leg, and I said, "Well, I have had such presence of mind." I said, "I have Raynaud's. Make sure that you take care. My feet are going to get very cold." And they said, "We have to put a tourniquet around your legs." My collarbone was reversed inside my shoulder.
Wow.
I lost the ACL in my right knee, and I got a detached retina. But at the time, believe me, I was in plenty of pain once I started processing everything and got to the hospital. But in the moment,
I'm
no.
surprised that you weren't in the moment. I think that's kind of part of the
Right?
part of the whole scenario.
I was so aware. So now they bring me to the hospital, and when he tells me that my husband's gone, and this is and I say, and I feel like I'm so fortunate, even to the point where my stepdaughter came to see me, and I had brought her up since she was a teenager, and she wasn't really looking for me, she was looking for her father. And I had to turn to her and I said, "Honey, I'm really sorry, I need to tell you that Daddy's gone."
Wow.
And she fainted dead away. And when they picked her up, I said, "Stop." And they were preparing me for surgery, and I said, "I always love you and I will never hurt you." I was so aware of that message, be loving and kind to everyone. And she said, "I know," and she ran running from the room. I was so transformed that 3 months after the surgery, the assistant to my surgeon called me and said, "I need to tell you, you changed lives in the emergency room that night. No one ever saw all you did was validate everyone who came near you and express your gratitude. No one ever saw anyone respond to a situation like you had." And I said, "Trish, I had a spiritual awakening. It has changed my life." And the other validation that I also got was the day after the surgery. My sister-in-law, who we thought was woo-woo, my sister-in-law came and she said, "Irene, you were transformed. There was something so different about you, I couldn't even get over it." So now I'm in grieving hell. 3 days later, I leave the hospital, and now I'm dealing with business
3 days
problems.
later you left.
I was in the hospital for 3 days.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it was really, I had 2 blood transfusions in a hand and all kinds of things. And now I get home and I'm dealing with all the business problems and the family problems and everything.
Widow problems, let alone your physical.
Oh my God. But I know something is up, but I don't know what it is. And I'm carrying this with me and I'm telling no one because, of course, everyone in my world would think I'm crazy. And 6 weeks after the accident, I'm just out of my wheelchair. And I get a call from my dry cleaner. And we all know, people bring you messages and you need to really listen. And I was just learning about this. And my dry cleaners, who I talk to everyone, I'm very friendly. So he called me and he said, I would not normally do this, Irene, but you seem very open-minded. And I want to tell you a story. And he said, 8 years ago, our son died of a drug overdose and nobody could help us. And we went to grief counselors and all. And we decided that we were going to see mediums. And we've gotten undeniable proof of survival that our son is on the other side. And we're going to see someone who's going to be very famous one day. And if you want to come with us in 2 weeks, you never know. Maybe you'll get a message from your husband. I had no idea what he was talking about, but I knew something was up. I got myself together and I went like 5 towns away to his home and I got out of my car. I'm telling you for a reason. I got out of my car and I got into his car and we drove another 5 towns to where, brand new to this world, John Edward was holding a gallery with 35 people.
Wow.
And I walked in, I didn't know who he was or anything. I walked in and he said to me, I don't even want to know your name. Just go upstairs where people are gathered. And there were like about 35 people there. And it was like soul waited for me to see messages coming through to all these other people. And all of a sudden, John Edward said, I'm getting a message from someone on the other side, and he's talking about Dr. Pepper. Does anyone relate to Dr. Pepper? And this was before voice recorders. So I said to my dry cleaner, Joel, start writing. Oh my God, it's Saul. Had to be 15 years before he met me. Saul's brother, who was a big advertising executive on Madison Avenue here in New York City, put Saul's name in a Dr. Pepper commercial. And it was coming east from California. Let's talk to the man in the street, Saul Weinberg, what he thinks of Dr. Pepper. And Saul used to laugh, not Joe Smith or John Doe or whatever.
Okay, now I want to stop you because I know our audience is listening to this and thinking, wow, what do you make of all this?
Yeah, Stacey. I want you to weigh in.
Her husband, the love that you have between you and your husband, he wasn't going to miss a beat to let you know that he was still with you. And so I know spiritually that our loved ones in heaven orchestrate people to call us, to connect with us, to say certain things, so we get on the spiritual path, so that we can still feel them, know they're with us, all of that, so we can heal. And I know Saul was at work nonstop making that happen for you.
So it sounds like Saul was a pretty powerful guy.
Yeah.
Well,
Big personality.
when I had the reading with John Edward, he came through for 40 minutes.
Wow.
And one of the things John Edward said to me is, how long is this guy on the other side? And I said, 2 months. He said, this guy's been around the block a lot. This is an old soul. And I mean, but I wanted to show you all, because one of the things John Edward said to me that was so amazing, he's telling me you're driving his car with Saul Z on the license plate.
Oh my gosh.
And that was parked in 5 towns away.
Wait, where was this?
This car was this was the license plate of the car I drove to my dry cleaner's house, and I left my car at my dry cleaner's house. And John Edward, one of the messages he gave is, your husband's telling me you're driving his car, because my car was totaled. You're driving his car with Saul Z on the license plate. Talk about proof.
Yes.
Proof
Wow.
of that he survived the accident. And why Saul Z? Because he was a real estate developer in Hoboken, and the kids he sold condos to called him Uncle Saul Z. So he had Saul Z on the license plate. I mean, I got so much proof of his survival from the accident. He's telling me you're wearing his skier charm under your blouse. I mean, on and on and on with the kids' names and everything. So now what do? Everybody thinks I'm crazy, right? I don't tell anyone that I'm starting to reach out to
your
mediums.
sister-in-law?
My sister-in-law is the only one I told.
Did you tell his stepdaughter? I was wondering how.
My stepdaughter said to me, I don't want to know anything about this. I don't believe in it. Don't tell me about this. I don't want to know. So I respected her, and I didn't speak with her about it. It was very interesting. You know, the kids were like still not quite sure about this, so I stayed very quiet with my friends and all. But then more started to happen. I started going to mediums, and one after another said, there's a divine plan. This was all orchestrated. Your husband is going to work with you across the veil, and the first thing you're supposed to do is write a book. I'm like, a book? I played the violin growing up. I was a buyer for Macy's. I helped him in his real estate business. I helped raise his kids. What book? You know? But it was him. It was so him. And about my sister-in-law, when I called her and told her what had happened, she said, thank goodness, because 2 weeks after the accident, he came to me. And I said to him, what do you want to tell me? And he said, Irene inherited 4 business deals. 3 will work out, 1 won't, with details about the deals and details about each one of the kids.
Wow.
Okay, so now I'm listening to this show and I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, I'm a believer. What's it done for you today? What would it do for me? What, as a
My
person?
goodness. First of all, from all that I've experienced, because I came out with my book and I channeled his experiences on the other side and what had happened and all of that. But I'm no longer afraid to die. I am completely passionate about being in my present moment, healing. I healed so much. The grief led me to tremendous healing. And I am passionate about living my life and being present to the people in my life.
And this is kind of your rebirth, grief and rebirth.
What happened was one day I'm in my life, I'm doing my thing, and I'm meeting with people, I'm talking about my story, and all of a sudden the word podcast came into my head. And I said to my publicist, what's a podcast? I had no idea. And she said, I can help you with that. And I thought, who am I going to interview? And I thought, you know what? I could not have gone through this without the help of a life transition coach. Because of what happened to me, I opened up to spiritual energy healers. Mediums saved me. And the other thing that happened was when they pulled me out of the car, my husband was buried on my son's 21st birthday.
Wow.
And as they pulled me out of the car, the thought that I had was, I will get through this somehow, because I have to be a role model for my son, that you can get hit by a grenade in life and keep on going. And so I was working with all these people with the goal of somehow I am going to get through this. And he said to me about 4 years after the accident, Mom, there has been nothing worse than seeing you in total despair, and nothing better than seeing you being able to have joy again.
So,
Absolutely.
Okay, so I am listening to you and I'm thinking, I'm seeing dollar bills roll by my head because it's pretty expensive.
Dollar bills.
No, you're doing a book. I've in the process of a book, and I've done a number of books, and there's a little money that goes out there. Then I'm thinking about you going to mediums, and then I'm thinking and I'm wondering, Stacey, is there some way that I can kind of do her journey on my own, or are there ways that I can start out to find spiritual comfort after a loss?
So spirituality is very much about letting go and allowing yourself to receive. And it's about believing that you will receive. Believing in your heart that there is something more than being in the body, and that there is healing from spirit. And when you believe, you do receive.
I like that.
And when you let go, surrender, be in the state of allowing, and say, I want to hear from you. I want to feel you. I want to receive. I want to heal. They hear everything that comes from us, whether it's coming from our head or from 18 inches down in our heart. They hear everything.
So I want to say, Irene, what comes up for me now when she says that is you were forced to let go.
I was forced to
We
let
were
go.
forced. Some of us, you're a strong presence. You were like, we are going to get your attention.
And I didn't believe, so they had to really
Right.
shock me in
Right.
a way
Yes.
to say, okay, here you go, and here is your path. And now that I am open, I do get signs, I do get messages from Saul. I do not have to consult with mediums, but I have to say it's a wonderful experience when you do meet with a medium, and because they can get a lot of different messages for you.
How do this is a good one for you, Stacey? How do we know that we're with a medium that's reliable and is not going to rip
Yes.
us off? And
So,
you know.
right. So there are different levels of development. So you mentioned psychic, like earlier. I don't call myself a psychic, although I am a psychic medium. I'm a spiritual medium. Psychic is the inner guidance, the intuition. Everybody has this. Some people who are developed more are psychic, where they can pick up energies on you from the time you're born, kind of into your future. Medium, you are medium. So our loved ones in spirit have to lower their energy a little bit from love, peace, and joy. We have to raise ours in order to connect in the medium, in the in-between. And so when people ask me, are you psychic? I said, well, I've been intuitive my entire life, but I am a spiritual medium. I only connect with spirit, with loved ones in spirit. I don't read your energy or your aura. I only connect with loved ones in spirit.
Okay.
That is the difference.
That is the difference.
And it's a deeper development. Some people say higher development, but it's a deeper development. We're all developing, and then the deepest development is the healer. Yeah.
Is it easier to connect with somebody that's been gone? Like Saul wasn't gone that long.
Oh yes.
Is
Stay
it
up.
easier to connect to someone that just left, or is it?
It varies on the person, so
Okay.
on the loved one, because it's still their personality. So they're still in their full personality of who they truly are.
Okay.
And so I have connected for families on the day of their loved ones or their child's passing, because the healing was so needed, and this loved one came in to heal. And it varies. It does vary, but you can connect with them moments after they pass. It's happened.
And can you connect with them many, many years after they've passed?
Oh yes.
Okay, so forever.
many years.
If you're
forever.
someone that's, and you might have been not a believer, and then come 30 years later and say, "Wait a minute, I
absolutely.
believe, and I need the connection now, and I'm ready." Right?
Absolutely.
Okay, I love
Yes.
this.
You know, I was also thinking about foreshadowing, because what I will call it, because you were talking about washing the dishes and having the foreshadowing of saying that, what were the words again? I like
Saul
that.
has to go.
Yeah.
Many lessons will be learned from his death.
So you had that foreshadowing. When my son was killed in an automobile accident, he was sitting on the stairs with my daughter and her best friend. She was 14, and he sat on the stairs with them and said to them, I may have to go, but I want you to know that I will go to a better place. Now, she had a witness to that also, which sometimes I think in foreshadowing there's a witness. And then Heidi was telling Stacey about a foreshadowing that I had. Yeah.
Yeah, because my brother and cousin died together. They were both 17. My cousin was driving. And when my mom was, 7, 8 years old, she and my aunt were pushing these baby carriages together. And they lost their babies.
We
And
were in
they-
the high weeds.
Wow.
And they were trying to find them, and it was terrifying, and they were scared, and they finally found them. Fast forward to their 17-year-old sons who died together, and they lost them.
Wow.
I felt like it was kind of a
you were-
foreshadowing.
yes,
Of
yes,
what
and
was to come.
preparation on some level for that to be all connected. So spiritually, our loved ones spiritually connect the dots for us when they go into the afterlife, when they're in the heavens. They come through and connect all of that for us in that oneness, because everything is connected. And they will come through and connect that, like, for you. So we can receive feelings and memories with spirit connecting with us that we have put aside, right?
Well, You know, before we end the show, I want to talk a little bit about what you guys are doing, because Irene, do you want to talk about your podcasts and what you're doing with them?
Sure.
And what your plans are, and anything else that we've missed that you want to bring in?
I know that there's another book in me. I've been getting a lot of messages that there's another book to come. But right now, my podcast is in 20 countries. I'm so humbled by this and what is going on, and I know I'm getting a lot of help because I'm interviewing you, I'm interviewing Stacey, I'm interviewing all these amazing people, and I am getting tremendous testimonials of people telling me that they wait for the podcast to come through. They lost a child, they lost this or that, and it's helping them so much in their lives. So actually, you can get on my podcast. It's the passion of the podcast is to educate and enlighten people and give them healing choices. So on my website, you can get on my website and see all the people and listen to their interviews of the people who I've interviewed. And if you're looking for a healer or a medium or some information, it is there.
Oh, it's on your site. Okay, and what is your site?
My site is ireneweinberg.com.
Okay.
And the podcast is Grief and Rebirth,
Great.
Finding the Joy in Life.
Great. And how about you, Stacey? Tell us about where
Touching1mhearts.com, so touching 1 million hearts, and in the website it's 1M for 1 million. And on there we have the meditation album is on the website, as well as my live events. I do live stage events with audiences and share the gift of spirit, spiritual readings, and things like that. And then I also teach a gift of spirit mentoring and how to connect with spirit.
All right. So do you want to, Irene, to give us one tip for somebody who's recently had a loss? And
Know that your loved one is with you. Know that your loved one wants you to heal. Know that your loved one wants you to go on. Know that your loved one would love you to have love again. There's no jealousy where they are. They are on your side. They're on your team. You have a wonderful teammate, albeit on the other side.
Great. Stacey, do you have a quick one?
I would say just open up to receive and believe that you can receive, and let them do the work. I just got chills on that.
Thank you. Thank you both for being on the show today. It's been delightful and I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It's
thank
been a
you so much.
blessing.
Thank you so much for helping people find hope again after loss.
And thanks everybody for joining us on this show today. And Heidi and I always want to remind you that if you've lost hope, please lean on ours until you find your own, and God bless.